Every single day, I uncover another untold gem from Hollywood's golden age, moments that defined an entire generation of stars. If you love keeping these legendary memories alive, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, but it means everything to me. Welcome to Velvet Screen Secrets. Now let's dive right in. At 93, Angie Dickinson is finally breaking her silence about Robert Redford, and what she's revealing is shaking up old Hollywood stories like never before. Born Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in the quiet little town of Culm, North Dakota, Angie came from humble beginnings before becoming one of Hollywood's most magnetic and fashion-forward icons. Her early days couldn't have been further from red carpets and flashing cameras, but those modest roots built the fire that would make her unstoppable. Raised by her parents, Frederica and Leo Henry Brown, a hard-working couple of German descent, Angie grew up watching them fight through the harsh years of the Great Depression. That struggle lit something fierce inside her, shaping her into a sharp, fearless woman who never backed down. When the family later moved to Burbank, California, Angie stepped into a whole new world. At Immaculate Heart College and later Glendale College, her confidence and natural glow made her stand out instantly. You just couldn't take your eyes off her. At first, Angie pictured herself as a quiet storyteller, maybe writing scripts or working behind the curtain where no one could see her. But fate had other plans waiting in the wings, and it wasn't about to let her stay in the shadows. Everything flipped when she decided to enter a local beauty pageant in the early 1950s. That one bold move changed everything. The moment she walked across that stage, casting directors took notice fast. Her smoky, alluring voice, those striking eyes, and the confident energy she carried made people stop and stare. She had it, and Hollywood could see it from a mile away. Soon enough, Angie was landing small but unforgettable parts in both TV and film. Every appearance left a mark. She wasn't just another pretty face. She had a spark that made the camera fall in love with her every time. During those early grind years, she worked non-stop, showing up on the biggest anthology shows and westerns, the kind everyone was glued to back then. By the mid-1950s, she was no longer just another actress trying to make it. She was standing shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood's top names. That experience sharpened her instincts and made her shine even brighter. Then came the moment that blew the doors wide open. Her breakout role in Howard Hawks' 1959 western, Rio Bravo. Playing Feathers, the confident yet tender saloon girl, Angie lit up the screen alongside legends John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson. Her performance turned her into a household name overnight, proving she could hold her own with the biggest stars in the game. Throughout the 1960s, Angie Dickinson wasn't just working, she was owning Hollywood. Every role she touched turned heads. Every scene she appeared in left people talking. She became one of the most in-demand actresses of her time, sliding effortlessly from westerns to crime dramas, thrillers, and high-glam love stories without missing a beat. Audiences were hooked on how she mixed class and raw emotion so naturally, and critics couldn't stop praising her for giving every role a heartbeat. One of her standout moments came in Ocean's 11, 1960, starring right alongside Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. Talk about star power. From there, she kept delivering one hit after another, shining in thrillers and dramas where she brought both toughness and elegance to every character she played. Angie proved she could be soft, smart, and strong all at once, a rare combo that Hollywood just couldn't get enough of. But her magic didn't stop on screen. Angie became a full-blown Hollywood fashion icon, a woman whose every move turned into a headline. She lit up magazine covers, stole the show at red carpet events, and carried herself with a fearless kind of confidence that women admired and men couldn't forget. Her style, her attitude, and her poise made her one of the most envied and respected figures of her era. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, Angie Dickinson wasn't just a movie star, she was Hollywood royalty. Working alongside the biggest names in the business, she sealed her legacy as one of the elite. And when she appeared again in Ocean's 11, it brought her a whole new generation of fans who couldn't resist her effortless glamour and magnetic charm. Angie's film resume just kept stacking up with unforgettable roles that showed she wasn't afraid to take risks. She lit up the screen in The Killers, 1964, Point Blank, 1967, and The Wild Ride that was Big Bad Mama, 1974. These films showed a daring, fearless side of Angie. She wasn't about to play it safe or stay in the background. She dove straight into bold, boundary-pushing roles that changed how women were seen in Hollywood. Her versatility became her calling card. She could flip from gritty crime thrillers to smooth westerns to playful comedies, all without losing that signature spark that made her one of a kind. Angie's screen presence was undeniable, bold, classy, and unforgettable. When she appeared on camera, you felt it instantly. She owned every frame. Then came the moment that catapulted her into a whole new league, the 1970s hit series Policewoman. From 1974 to 1978, Angie stepped into the trailblazing role of Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson, and it completely changed television. This wasn't just another cop show. It shattered the mold by putting a powerful woman front and center in a world that had always been ruled by men. Angie's take on Pepper was electric. She wasn't just tough, she was stylish, quick-witted, and full of attitude that viewers couldn't resist. Her confidence jumped off the screen, and people everywhere were hooked. Angie made Pepper feel real, strong, smart, and still feminine, something TV had rarely shown before.
Critics raved about her performance, and audiences fell in love with her all over again. Her success on Policewoman opened doors for the next generation of strong female leads, proof that Angie Dickinson didn't just star in Hollywood history, she helped rewrite it. Angie didn't just win over audiences, she racked up major recognition too. Golden Globe nominations came rolling in, and she even took home the award, sealing her place as a true Hollywood powerhouse. Overnight, she became an inspiration to countless women who saw in her a mix of boldness, class, and total independence. She wasn't just playing strong women, she was one. Even after Policewoman wrapped, Angie proved she was nowhere near done. While Hollywood often pushed older actresses aside, she kept landing strong, meaningful roles that reminded everyone her star power wasn't fading anytime soon. She had grit, charm, and the kind of confidence that only grew with time. One of her standout performances came in Brian De Palma's 1980 thriller, Dressed to Kill. In it, Angie played a lonely housewife searching for something deeper, and her performance was packed with emotion, vulnerability, and quiet power. It was a role that showed she wasn't just a glamorous icon, she was a serious actress with real range. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Angie kept surprising everyone. She chose roles that challenged her, that said something, that showed she was still evolving as both a person and a performer. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing growth. And behind the camera, her personal life was just as layered as her film career, full of highs, heartbreaks, and defining moments that shaped her into the strong, unforgettable woman she became. Every chapter added another layer to the legend that is Angie Dickinson. Angie's first marriage was to Gene Dickinson in 1952, and at that time, Gene was the picture of the classic American dream. He was a standout college football player known for his discipline, charm, and clean-cut image that made him look straight out of a magazine. After hanging up his cleats, he jumped into the booming post-war electronics business, a field that promised big money and stability. Their marriage officially lasted until 1960, but in truth, they had already gone their separate ways by 1956. The love had faded long before the papers were signed, showing how different their worlds had become as Angie's Hollywood career began to take off. Still, Gene played a surprisingly important role in Angie's early journey to stardom. During those first uncertain years in the industry, he was there, offering support as she found her footing. And even after their split, Angie made a bold decision. She kept the last name Dickinson. It wasn't just sentimental, it was strategic. Keeping that name gave her a sharp, memorable identity that stood out in Hollywood, where recognition could make or break a career. That one choice helped define her brand, the name the world would soon know everywhere. During her marriage to Gene, Angie also began forming high-profile friendships that expanded her world far beyond Hollywood. Among them were the well-known economist John Kenneth Galbraith and his wife Catherine, a couple deeply connected to politics, art, and global culture. The Galbraiths moved in a circle of thinkers, diplomats, and intellectuals, a completely different universe from the flashing cameras and red carpets of Los Angeles. Yet, Angie fit right in, blending Hollywood charm with the sharpness of a woman who could hold her own anywhere. Through her friendship with the Galbraiths, Angie found herself swept into deep conversations about politics, world affairs, and culture, a side of life far from Hollywood lights. Those talks opened her mind and gave her a whole new perspective that went way beyond movie scripts and red carpets. When John Kenneth Galbraith was appointed U.S. ambassador to India by President John F. Kennedy, Angie didn't just send her best wishes. She packed her bags and flew across the world to visit the Galbraiths in India. Suddenly, she was surrounded by diplomats, artists, and leaders, a completely different kind of spotlight. Traveling through India left a lasting impression on Angie. The colors, the people, the energy, it all struck something deep in Angie. Her presence and friendship meant so much to Galbraith that he wrote about her in both of his memoirs, Ambassador's Journal and A Life in Our Times. Those mentions weren't just casual shout-outs. They showed how genuine their bond was and how effortlessly Angie could move among the powerful and the intellectual without ever losing her grace. She wasn't just a Hollywood star anymore. She was a woman who could hold her own in any room, anywhere in the world. Then, in 1965, Angie turned a whole new page in her life when she married the legendary composer and songwriter Burt Bacharach. Burt was already a giant in music, known for his smooth melodies, emotional lyrics, and unforgettable hits that defined an era. Together, Angie and Burt became one of the most glamorous and talked about couples of the decade. Their mix of old-school Hollywood shine and musical genius made them magnetic. Even in a town full of stars, they were the ones everyone watched. Their marriage lasted 16 years, practically a lifetime by Hollywood standards. But behind the glamorous smiles and red carpet photos, things weren't always picture perfect. Angie and Burt's relationship was filled with passion, creativity, and yes, plenty of challenges. Both were ambitious. Both lived in the spotlight, and that constant pressure sometimes pulled them apart. Yet, even after separating and exploring other relationships, they somehow found their way back to each other for a while. Proof that their bond was complicated, emotional, and very real. A life-changing moment came on July 12, 1966, when Angie gave birth to her daughter, Nikki. From the start, Nikki faced significant challenges due to autism. And this was at a time when the world understood very little about the condition. Resources were limited and support was hard to find. But Angie and Burt were determined to give their daughter the best life possible. They adjusted everything, their schedules, their careers, even their home life, to make sure Nikki was surrounded by patience, care, and unconditional love every single day.
Nikki's journey was not an easy one, and the family faced struggles that tested their strength in ways few could imagine. Angie often spoke about her daughter with fierce pride, calling her a source of light and love, even through the hardest times. Then, heartbreak struck. On January 4, 2007, Nikki passed away at the age of 40. Her loss was devastating, a wound that never truly healed. For Angie, it was a tragedy that shaped her forever. She carried Nikki's memory close to her heart, and her deep compassion for others only grew stronger after that loss, showing that beneath the star power, Angie Dickinson's greatest role was being a devoted, loving mother. Even after unimaginable heartbreak, Angie never stopped speaking up. She used her voice to advocate for better understanding and support for people and families facing similar challenges, keeping Nikki's memory alive with grace, love, and unstoppable strength. Her compassion became her legacy, proof that her heart was just as powerful as her talent. Meanwhile, Burt Bacharach kept creating the kind of timeless music that defined generations. Even after his marriage to Angie ended, his career continued to soar. Song after song, hit after hit, he remained one of the true giants of the music world until his passing in 2023 at the age of 94. His melodies touched millions, leaving behind a soundtrack that still echoes through time. For Angie, the stories of Jean Dickinson, Burt Bacharach, and her beloved daughter Nikki shaped the deepest parts of her life. Each chapter carried its own lessons: love that lifted her, pain that tested her, and friendships that showed her what real connection looked like. Her journey was filled with moments of strength, heartbreak, resilience, and quiet courage, the kind only a woman who's truly lived can understand. And now, at 93 years old, After nearly a century of fame, love, and survival in the unpredictable world of Hollywood, Angie Dickinson has finally broken her silence about Robert Redford, a man whose name has been whispered in connection to hers for decades. Fans have waited years to hear her truth, and she's finally speaking from the heart. On September 16, 2025, the world woke up to shocking news. Robert Redford. The world was stunned when the news broke. Legendary actor, director, and visionary founder of the Sundance Film Festival, Robert Redford, had passed away peacefully in his sleep at his home in Sundance, Utah. He was 89. His death sent deep shockwaves through Hollywood, triggering an outpouring of emotion and reflection on a career that didn't just entertain, it defined generations. Redford's legacy was bigger than fame. It was timeless, powerful, and deeply human. But for Angie Dickinson, the loss struck a far more personal chord. It wasn't just another Hollywood goodbye. It was intimate, quiet, and filled with memories that had lived in the shadows for years. Angie and Robert's paths had crossed more times than anyone realized, sometimes working together, other times sharing long glances across glittering rooms where words weren't needed. Their connection was built on mutual admiration, respect, and something deeper that both carried quietly through the years. When reporters asked what Robert's passing meant to her, she took a long pause before answering, her voice calm but thick with emotion. Then she said softly, "Robert was one of those rare men in Hollywood. He wasn't just strikingly handsome, that part was obvious to everyone, but he had integrity, which in this town is not always easy to find." It was a moment that revealed just how much he had meant to her, not just as a co-star or a Hollywood legend, but as a man she deeply respected and never forgot. Angie spoke about Robert with a kind of admiration that came from years of watching someone quietly shape an empire without ever losing his sense of self. She explained how he carried himself in an industry built on noise and ego, with confidence that wasn't loud, forced, or flashy. Robert moved through Hollywood like he belonged, but never bragged about it. He believed in doing things his own way, staying true to his craft, to his values, and to the kind of person he wanted to be. He didn't let studios, fame, or headlines mold him into something fake. And for Angie, that meant everything. As a woman who had fought tooth and nail to break past the limits Hollywood placed on her, Angie saw something deeply relatable in Robert's independence. He represented the kind of freedom she'd been chasing her whole career, and she respected him for never compromising who he was. Then, with a soft smile, she looked back on those early days in the 1960s when both of them were still trying to make their mark. She recalled how she saw him when he was still this young, almost shy actor. He wasn't the Robert Redford the world would later know, but even then he had that spark. You could feel it the moment he walked into a room. You just knew he was destined for something big. At that time, Angie's career was already taking off, but she noticed something rare in him: humility. Despite the charm, the jawline, and the undeniable presence that made people turn heads, Robert never acted like he ruled the place. He carried his fame lightly, and that quiet confidence left a mark on Angie that never faded. As she continued to open up, Angie didn't hold back about the harsh truth of being a woman in Hollywood during Redford's rise. "I'll be honest," she admitted, "sometimes it was frustrating. Robert had opportunities that women just didn't get back then. He could be rugged, he could be romantic, he could be political, and he was taken seriously in every role. For women, the expectations were different, and we had to fight harder for respect." Her words weren't bitter, they were honest, spoken with the grace of someone who had lived it all and survived with her head high. But Angie wanted to make one thing absolutely clear. Robert Redford always respected the women he worked with. "He never treated us like decorations," she said firmly. "He listened. That meant a lot." Her voice carried the kind of weight that only comes from experience, from someone who had lived through an era when respect for women wasn't a guarantee, it was a rare luxury. And yet Redford gave it freely. That was part of what made him stand out in a town that often forgot how to treat women as equals.
Then Angie's expression softened as she began to speak about another side of Robert, the activist, the dreamer, the man with a purpose bigger than fame. She spoke warmly about his lifelong dedication to the environment, his push for change, and the vision that became the Sundance Film Festival. Robert wasn't just about making movies, she said. He wanted to change the world, even if just a little. Sundance gave so many young filmmakers a chance when the big studios wouldn't even open the door for them. He nurtured new voices, and that became his legacy just as much as any film he ever starred in. Her voice quieted for a moment, full of emotion. That generosity, that vision, that's something I'll always admire, she added softly. And then came the question everyone had been waiting for, the one people had whispered about for decades. Did she and Robert Redford ever share anything deeper than friendship? At that, Angie gave one of her classic half-smiles, that teasing, knowing grin that hinted she knew a lot more than she was letting on. She laughed, the mystery still sparkling in her eyes even after all these years. People always ask that, she said. Robert was the kind of man women adored, she admitted with a tender smile, but I was no exception. But she didn't try to turn their story into some hidden Hollywood romance. She set the record straight with pure honesty. The truth is, we never had a romance, she said. We respected each other. We enjoyed each other's company, but it was never that. And maybe that's why our connection lasted as long as it did. No drama, no tangled history. Their bond stayed clean, steady, and full of quiet understanding through the years, the kind of friendship that doesn't fade with time. Still, Angie wasn't about to deny Robert's undeniable magnetism, because everyone knew he had it. She laughed softly as she described it. He had that mix of boyishness and strength that was just irresistible, she recalled. Even as the years passed and life etched lines on his face, that spark never left him. He still had it in his eyes, that look that made you feel like you were the only one in the room. And Angie knew that kind of energy couldn't be faked. It was something rare, something real, and Robert had it from day one. When the conversation turned to his passing, Angie's voice grew softer, full of emotion that words could barely hold. She said, "It breaks my heart to know he's gone." But even through the sadness, there was peace in her tone. She took comfort knowing he passed away gently in the home he built with his own hands in Sundance, the place that captured his spirit better than any Hollywood stage ever could. That was his sanctuary, she added with calm certainty, and I think that's exactly how he would have wanted it. After a pause, Angie took a slow breath before sharing one last thought, the kind of truth only a woman who's seen it all could say with such grace and strength. "You can be successful and still be decent," she said softly, her words hanging in the air like a quiet tribute, simple, heartfelt, and unforgettable. "You can be famous and still be private," she said softly, her words carrying that familiar grace and strength. "And you can chase your dreams without forgetting where you came from." Her voice was filled with truth, wisdom, and the admiration that only comes from decades of watching someone live boldly and honestly on their own terms. For Angie Dickinson, Robert Redford was more than just a Hollywood legend. He was a true friend, a quiet inspiration, and one of the few who managed to stay real in a world built on illusions. His life, his choices, and his integrity stood as proof that greatness doesn't have to come with arrogance, and fame doesn't have to erase authenticity. Now, at 93, after a lifetime of glitz, triumph, and heartbreak, Angie offered one final tribute that silenced everyone listening. "Robert was the real thing," she said, her voice trembling just slightly. "They don't make them like him anymore, and the world feels a little emptier without him." What a legacy. What a love letter to a bygone era of true stars. If this story moved you, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button to keep the spirit of old Hollywood alive with Velvet Screen Secrets. There's more untold truth, more passion, and more legendary stories waiting for you next.